What's up, and welcome to Be Human, the definitive podcast for business leaders who have built their businesses through relationships and are looking to digital marketing to scale those relationships across multiple different verticals and their platforms. My name is Danny Marawinski. I'll be your host. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about something near and dear to my heart and probably one of the most important pieces that any business of any size, B2B, B2C, doesn't matter, absolutely needs to adopt when it comes to lead generation and actually driving conversions. And that's called nurture. Nurture campaigns. We've heard it a couple different terms of this, right? Drip campaigns, re-engagement campaigns, so on and so forth. There's a bunch of ways that you can kind of label this style of what this is doing, but hands down, this is the number one way to drive conversions for your business, and it's through nurturing your leads. So let's jump right in. Let's first kind of talk about some of these experiences that I've had over the years with working with some different clients, right? And let's talk about where we kind of missed the ball. So we hit on this in a couple different episodes regarding, the fact that we think too inwardly about our own business. We think about our bottom line, we think about our bottom dollar, we think about getting paid, and that's where we focus most of our attention is how do we do that at scale? And truthfully, what I've seen time in and time out is the more that we just focus in on that, the more we lose. And I think the bulk of the world is starting to come around and realize that digital marketing we're in this golden era where we've never in the history of mankind had this much access to free reach, free marketing. If you think back before going back into the ad man days, right? You had to pay for this kind of branding, for this kind of placement. This podcast cost me nothing more than my time and then the platforms that I'm using to help produce it and publish it. But at the end of the day, it's free marketing. It's free reach for me to get my name, my brand, my mission, my message out there. And that's true for a lot of us, right? So we're all kind of starting to realize this. So we've created and developed a bunch of different fancy ways to get people to convert. We've called them nurture campaigns, but really they're a funnel to a sale campaign. And oftentimes it's baked in with fear tactics, such as this deal is going to go away in the next 24 hours unless you sign up. It's baked in with FOMO tactics of everybody else in your industry is already using this. Why aren't you? You're going to be left behind. There's all sorts of different strategies and tactics that businesses have used to ultimately get more conversions back to them. And where some of them, yes, are effective, I'm starting to see this trend across the digital landscape where people are getting wise to that. The consumers of these goods and services are becoming more wise to that. They're not falling for the tricks. This is very true in real examples that I've seen where we've done, say, a marketing campaign for a group of folks that we already have warm to us. And we might get some decent clicks in, but then we're not getting conversions on the back end. We see it on ad campaigns, right? Where we create a fun and exciting and engaging ad. The ad gets a lot of traffic on socials, but when they get into the first landing page, they drop off and fall off. And we look backwards and we go, why? Right? And that's the number one question. Why are these people not converting? Don't they see how great we are? Don't they see how great this service is? Don't they see their friends and the social proof of why this works? And why aren't they converting with us? And that's what we're going to break down today as far as how do we actually nurture these leads. And to really think about this, we need to look at how do we nurture an actual relationship. And I think it's synonymous for, whether it be romantic relationships with significant others, with friendships, how we nurture friendships, with our family, how do we nurture family? I think for the most part, the general populace is actually really good at nurturing. Why? Because we are herd animals. Human beings in general are herd animals. We want to follow in with the pack. Yes, there are a few of us that will lead packs, and then there's also a few of us that will trailblaze away from the pack. And ultimately, in the process of that, they will start to build their own audience of pack following them in their path as they trailblaze the way, right? But nonetheless, we're all really good, for the most part, better than any other species in the planet, at creating relationships, nurturing relationships, maintaining relationships, and growing relationships. So regardless of how you feel, you could be one of those people that say, I hate people. That's great. You could be an I hate people person that's 100% an introvert, that never wants to get on social media, that never wants to have any type of fame or clout or anything. You can be that person. That's fine. But even that person is still better than every other living being on this planet at building, nurturing, and growing relationships. So it's core to who we are as humans. And as we've branched more into more of this digital landscape, we've become very computeristic in the way we approach strangers and we work on building relationships. You can see it. I mean, the ClickFunnels of the world and so on and so forth, not to bash any of those companies. They're great companies with great products, but that's their core of what they're doing. If you look at the gurus and the things that they're doing in their online courseware, that's what they're doing. How do we create FOMO? How do we create scarcity? How do we create demand? How do we push people into it? How do we convert or force a close? Like, those are all the things that we've been talking about. And there's literally been millions and millions of dollars spent on education around how to close, right? And the truth is that nowadays, it's the way we close isn't that we, the salesperson, sold something. It's that our audience on the other end bought something from us. That's how we're closing. We need to redirect the mind in the way that we're thinking about this, especially when we go out to the digital world. So let's take a simple example of creating a brand new business relationship, right? And networking is a great example of this. So first off, if you ever go to a networking event, I've talked about this in multiple different episodes, but it's just hyper relevant to this use case. If you go to a networking event, right, and you meet a brand new stranger, the first thing that those people typically do, normally everybody there at a networking event has some type of drive and hunger. They are looking for business for themselves. That's why they're there, right? Which means that they're not necessarily there to buy. They could be convinced to buy, but that's not their intended purpose. Their purpose is to sell. So networking in general, if you're trying to sell things, isn't necessarily the best strategy of getting the deal done right then and there, but it is a great way that you can build a relationship, knowing that every single person has a self-interest as to why they're there. So a good networker won't talk about themselves. They'll talk about the other person that they're engaging with, and then they will refer them potential opportunities, right? And that's showing good faith. That's kind of a best practice in networking. What that actually does is that starts to build the relationship. That starts to give to other people to build and nurture that relationship. And if that's done over time, the relationship will flip back around in tenfold typically. And that person that's been referred business, as that business has grown, they're going to feel obligated to get that person that referred in the business more business, or they're going to start cutting them into the deal, thus making them money, right? So this is kind of the way that we do it in person in networking. So why on earth don't we take that approach digitally? I think, again, it's no mystery to the world of the power of digital marketing and social media at this point. Everybody is aware of it. I mean, I'm talking all the way up to the graybeards of the world that are stuck in their ways, that still do paper books, all the way down to, the next generation of, social influencers and so on and so forth. We all see this opportunity. We know that it's there and it's real. And as business owners, we want to pay money. Everybody wants the magic money machine, man. And it's like, I hear it all the time in my business. And it's just fascinating to me because then I would say 99.9% of the people that I initially talk to about lead generation do not get it. They think that because we're a lead generation company, we have the magic money making machine, which means that they insert $1 into our system and I give them 5 back. And we charge a small transaction fee to do that. It's just not the way it works. It doesn't work that way, people. If you think that you can just hire any lead generation agency and they're just going to turn on a money making machine for you and you're not going to have to lift a finger to do it, you are gravely mistaken, my friend. That's not the way lead generation works. Why? Because we are, in fact, trying to build a relationship with a stranger to our products or services. Like I mentioned before, the shirt that I'm wearing. So it's a company called Built, BYLT. So if you look up builtbasics.com, there's no ad for this. It's just being transparent of what I'm wearing. They eventually closed me, right? And what originally struck me about them that was interesting and where the relationship started is that I got targeted, likely because of my demographic and a little bit of psychographic of what I consume online. But I got targeted with some ads. And these ads ran to me for probably about a year before I made a conversion. The initial ad that I got was talking about how this shirt, the cut of this shirt, helps men who are parents reduce the look of the dad bod. When I first got targeted into this, I was actively trying. I had a dad bod. I was 30 pounds heavier than I am, and I was actively trying to lose weight and get back into shape. So, of course, that was resonating with me. And I was thinking to myself, I'm looking at my shirts in the mirror, knowing that this message in the back of my mind, that there is something out there that can help with this gut that I've accumulated, this beer gut that I had when I was still drinking. So as I'm looking at myself in the mirror with these shirts that I'm wearing that just simply don't fit, they're tight, it looks weird, my man boobs are showing, my gut's showing. It's just like, if you go back in through some of my recordings past, especially on LinkedIn, you'll see it. It's a red shirt that says SERP, search engine results page SERP. That shirt did not fit me. It's very embarrassing, but you know what? Whatever. Screw it. I'm keeping it up there. Is what it is. But my point is I was trying to make myself look better on the approach. So this message started to resonate with me. And as I started looking at myself, as I was starting to work on my physique, I started realizing I do want a better fitting shirt. As time went on and as I continued to get retargeted, I'm starting to see styles that resonate with me. Like I like V-cut necks. I like the fact that at the bottom here, I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually got a little bit of a taper. It fits my body nice. So, I started seeing these features that started rolling out. They started building the relationship with me. Then I started seeing influencers and who else wore, so this is the social proof, starting to see who else wore these types of shirts. And I started seeing the results from what people were saying as far as the material and so on and so forth. And finally, I decided to make my first purchase. I bought, I think, like 3 shirts originally, got the shirts. The packaging was beautiful. It came in a really nice, neat box. Packaging matters for those of you in the B2C world. That's why Apple, that's why people like, I don't know if you know this or not, it's an interesting stat, but like the Apple iPhone box is the #1 most kept box in the world of packaging. It's fascinating. People keep those things. There's all a bunch of memes and stuff around it. And if you're listening to this and you use iPhone, there's a good chance you probably kept that box. Why do we keep that box? Because it's a really nice, neat fitting box. It's almost like vacuum sealed. It fits perfect. It's nice. And because of that, we decided to keep it. So the packaging matters. That's part of building the relationship, showing the care inside of the packaging. Apple understood this, that if they put the extra money into the packaging, it's well worth it for the customer experience because you feel like you're getting something of high quality. It's the same reason why, like, there's certain Rolexes out there that you can purchase that the watch itself might be worth now $90,000, $100,000, but the box that it came in is worth a couple grand. So there's novelty to the packaging, and that matters because that's also part of the human experience. So when I got the packaging, it mattered that I enjoyed the packaging of what I got. Then, of course, I threw the shirt on. I enjoyed that. As I started to wear the shirts more, I realized I wanted to replace my wardrobe. And when I replaced my wardrobe, I went to Built and I bought like $1,000 worth of their products. I then went and branded it on my logo. And now that's the only shirt that I wear, the only shirts that I own when it comes to my personal wear. So, and I've built this relationship over time, and they did it in such a way that it hit some key points for me, right? So imagine if you could offer some type of value back to the person at where they were. So let's rewind back to when I first found this company and I was first interested in them. And that was the dad bod message. So here I was looking at my dad bod, being dissatisfied with it, but I also had made the mental commitment to go ahead and start to make the change, the lifestyle change to remove the dad bod. So I thought, of course, if I had a better fitting shirt, this would help motivate me to keep moving forward. So it hit me at the right time, right place, right message. I started building a relationship with that brand. And guess what? This is a $30 t-shirt. They're not cheap for a t-shirt. So that's a pretty big monetary commitment to make a purchase like that for a t-shirt. yet they sold me on it because of the fact that I was going through this dad bod phase. And they provided some interesting feedback because I did start dropping weight. And as I started dropping weight and I was wearing my old shirts, I realized that I looked bad in those shirts because they were stretched, they were bigger, they were wide at the bottom to encompass my gut and everything else. So that's where I started getting the value back from that original message of like, maybe my shirt needs to be upgraded so I look better and I feel better with this process. That's how the relationship started. Never once did I speak to a single person from Built Basic. Never once did I communicate with any of their influencers, or did I communicate with anybody that actually owned any of the shirts. This was all a digital relationship that was built naturally through their ad targeting and so on and so forth. And they did in such a way that it helped me achieve it. So when I finally did drop the weight, that's when I made the big purchase, right? Drop all the weight. I'm in better shape. Now it's time that I make the big purchase. I invest into myself. I felt like by buying Built in the shirts, I was actually investing into myself. And the ROI that I get is I feel good wearing it every single day. I'm proud of my shirts. I'm proud of my body. I'm proud of what I've done. And it's a part of me now. It's a part of my ethos. And as I look to the next round of purchasing for the company, I have considered trying other products, but likely I'm going to go with Built again because I've had this great experience and I've built this relationship with them without ever communicating with them. So how does this apply to us? How can we do this? How can we meet people where they're at and help support them in their journey? Because that's what nurture is, guys. It's first the attention grabbing piece of understanding where people are at. And I think the bulk of us are actually pretty good at that, especially in the digital marketing space. We spend a lot of money and a lot of dollars of understanding what core message gets the attention. And that's the first step. And I think that's not where the issue is. I think a lot of people are able to get the attention and get the initial clicks. The issue is on the back end. And I think it's because on the back end, we push too fast to conversion and close without bringing enough value back. So you can do things inside of ads where you can retarget. So if you engage with one certain ad, then you can hit the next inside of the campaign. You'll start getting retargeted the next ads and so on and so forth. So DadBod was the capture that got me into the web. After DadBod, then it went over to, social proof, other folks wearing it, regular people. Then it went over into influencers, right? So I could see who was famous wearing this stuff and adopting it. And then eventually it went to a conversion. And I was targeted that way through the ads. I never got put into the funnel. I never signed up for anything, never gave my information. It was all just done through a very effective ad campaign. So that's one way that you can nurture, right? So it's value, 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 value. And never once did any of these ads, yes, they had the ability for you to purchase right then and there, but the ad copy itself and the videos themselves never once said you need to buy today because you look like shit, right? There was no fear tactic. You need to buy today because this deal is going to go away. There was no fear tactic. It was all value driven, value based. So we can do the same thing. If we're good at capturing the initial attention, we can get some clicks, right? But we're not getting conversions. Well, we're not nurturing appropriately. That's the part that we need to focus in on. So how do you nurture? How do you nurture somebody that first engaged with your brand? Well, you need to think back to what got them to engage in the first place. So let's say you create a funny video. So you're using comedy and entertainment as the hook and the catch. So let's say it's about, I'm going to make this up. Let's say it's funny cat videos and that's the initial catch that gets you into your ad, right? Into your funnel. Funny cat video grabs the attention. We get 50% click-through rate. So throw it out to 1,000 people, we got 500 clicks, right? Great. The next thing that we send them, the next page that we send them to, better have cats. And we can start to go from entertainment to edutainment, right? Education and entertainment to education to conversion. So we have to walk them through that path. And that path is actually a challenge. And we're going to see a lot of people drop because nobody that is interested in being entertained wants to then be taught something in the process as well. There's a reason why we batch schoolwork with free time and playtime when we're teaching kids, right? I have 3 boys. I can tell you right now that if I let my oldest, my 6-year-old, play on his Nintendo Switch entertainment, right? And I stop him in the middle of entertainment and I said, "Hey buddy, let's do your math lesson and then we'll go back to this." He's going to have a meltdown because he doesn't want to stop being entertained. He doesn't want to switch his brain over. It's so true for us when we get into this space. So if we're doing funny cat videos as the initial hook, we better be entertaining all the way down and give them enough entertainment while we pepper in some education to then entice them into the education side, to where then eventually we can entice them into a conversion. But that's a bigger challenge. We could also run with entertainment the whole time and go all the way through and then get them into entertainment where they give us the first permission to contact them directly, which, by the way, that is how you define a lead. A lead is anybody that you can contact that's giving you permission. That's how we define it in my company. That's the way that it's generally defined in most cases. A lead is anybody that you can contact or that gives you permission to contact them. Once you have the permission to contact them, you could then send them weekly updates with funny cat videos and things like that while sprinkling in products. There's all sorts of ways that you can subliminally market your stuff inside of entertainment. Look to Hollywood, right? You've probably seen it where they're talking on the phone and then they see the big Apple emblem right here, right? Or they're drinking a Pepsi with the label out. Those types of things are all subliminal marketing. There's a lot of money to be made there, and that's all done through entertainment. So that's one way to look at it, is entertaining somebody from the get-go with sprinkling your products in. That's one way to nurture to a close. If you go from entertainment to education, you're probably going to see a relatively good drop-off. And a lot of us try to do that. We try to go down that path because we understand that oftentimes our products do require our audience to be educated to a certain degree to ultimately become problem aware and then become active shopping and then to active buying mode, right? And to do that is a much bigger gap and challenge because you're going to lose the people that only want to be entertained. So it's doable. Like I said, it's just a bigger challenge. The other way you can do it is if it is an education that you need to provide before someone's willing to close, then the first hook and catch better have some type of tangible outcome for them to do right then and there. So when we get that first click, and again, this strategy works really well. You create the video, you tell them at the beginning of the video, hey, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you our 10-step formula to success in lead generation. If at the end of the video, you leave them dangling and say, click the link below to get that 10-step place, right? They click the link, they go to the next page, and it's not there. And then you're requiring them to then have them give you information. You're going to start to see drop off. There's a better way to do it, in my opinion, from the humanistic element, because again, that's dragging them out and that's a little bit of a bait and switch to get them to finally do it. It's an icky feeling. We've all been through a bait and switch. We've all been there before. Give away credit card information. We get charged when we don't want to get charged, or we don't get charged. And then 2 weeks later, it hits our bill. We forget about it, so on and so forth. We can't get the refund. There's all sorts of bait and switch methods out there that I truly don't enjoy. And I don't think that the bulk of the world enjoys. And we're starting to get wiser to it and we're veering away from it. So a better way to do it is to that 10-step formula to lead generation, right? So if you do that video, give them the free download right then and there. Or just give it to them in the actual video itself. Just give it to them. If it's a free download, then you can have them download it without an opt-in. You can choose to try, and I would consider A and B testing that. One opt-in, give me your email, get the download to your email, or the other one is click here now, download it. I think you're going to see that those that download, that just get the direct access with no opt-in, you're going to see a higher conversion rate to that download versus those that you have to put in the email for, right? Because again, we're just giving away value rather than trying to take something back at the beginning of the phase. So if we give the download for free, well, we can use a trackable link, right? That then puts that person into our retargeting campaign. Once that person enters into our retargeting campaign, we don't show them the original ads that they saw before. We show them the next step ads, which the next step ads is then breaking down whatever that content was that they downloaded into tangible bite-sized pieces that they could start applying themselves. So let's say they get the download. Chances are they might skim through it. Maybe they read it. fewer are going to actually apply anything to their day-to-day. Maybe some will test it, but bulk of the time when you get a digital download, you'll reference it and you'll be like, huh, interesting, that's cool. And you're back onto the rest of your day. So if you do that process, then in the 10-step program, the next ad that you release to them should be step 1 with a real tangible asset for them to apply today. Hey, if you downloaded our 10-step program, I'm going to break down step 1 for you in a very simplistic manner that you can try today. And I'm going to get this done in the next 30 seconds. So step 1 is reach out to 10 people and do your pitch and get their feedback. Do it to your closest 10 people, right? It could be something like that. If you like the script that we recommend using, you can click here to download. Again, you can do one of two things here. Either A, use a UTM code to track that download. So that then puts them into now the step 1 campaign of the ad send if we're going pure ad, right? So now we're going into the next round of campaigns that acknowledges that they've downloaded the initial one and that now they've downloaded the step 1 script. So they're now actually into step 2. They're applying step 1, they're into step 2. So that needs to be a next round of ad campaigns to then walk them through this. You can think about this very similar to how an online course works. When you take an online course and you complete the first module, you're teed up for the second module. You'll come back to it when you can. You do the same thing in ads, okay? This is where you're giving value, giving value, giving value, giving value. What eventually will happen over time is these people that you're targeting have their own lives. They are busy too. And they're interested in this topic and they're learning more about it. They may not be ready to hire you just yet or buy from you just yet, but they do need to try some of this stuff to understand where their deficiencies are so then they can hire for that. And most business owners, good business owners, understand this. That's why we hire folks to fulfill on our weaknesses. For instance, I'm very scatterbrained, I'm very ADD, I'm very disorganized. So I found somebody who is the antidote to that, who's hyper organized, whose inbox looks immaculate, who's really good at project planning and taking down notes and so on and so forth. That's my second in command, my director of ops. She is the one who helps me do that. Why? Because I suffer there and I was aware of that, but I was only aware of that after I started doing more and more and more of these businesses on my own and starting to realize and look introspectively, where's my own personal bottleneck before I realize what I need to hire for. Same rules apply when we're offering a product or service that requires education. You need to give people the empathy and the care to show them how to do it. They will naturally find where they're going to lack in and what they're going to need to support. And if you're the one who's guiding them and educating them through that, they're going to come to you first before they go to anybody else because they have the trust and the rapport. They're believing in your system. And they're going to say, hey, can you help me out with X, Y, and Z of your process? Okay. That's how we nurture through ads. It's about your initial ad campaign for the attention grab. And then if you're only doing free downloads or, anything like that, non-opt-in type action items, non-opt-in CTAs, meaning you're not asking the audience for any information to contact them. You're just giving away more stuff. We use tracking codes that allow us to know where these IP addresses have gone. And then we retarget that through the digital ad campaign, showing them the next steps, constantly always showing them the next steps, all the way to the point that if they went through the entire 10-step process that I just outlined, we're going to give away that all for free. And you might think I'm crazy for that. But the truth is that that's how you nurture and build these relationships. Think about if you landed a new relationship with an extremely wealthy individual and you just so happen to be in a position where you need to do a capital raise. Are you going to ask for their money the first day that you meet them? Probably not. And if you do, you're probably not going to get the investment. You need to build that relationship because when investors invest into companies, they're investing into the people running the companies. It's an investment into the belief that the people are who they say that they are and that they're going to be able to take this to the next level. That's what the investment world does, right? So you got to work on building that relationship. So first, you're probably going to, if you're good, you're going to talk to them about where they came from, what they did to get to where they're at. They're going to naturally ask you about you. You're going to talk about where you're going, how you built it, where you're at. And eventually the conversation is going to lead to like where you're headed with this company. Oh, I'm looking to do this. I'm in the process of doing a capital raise right now. We've got a couple interested parties, but so on and so forth. Oh, I'm interested in a capital raise. I'm an investor. I'd love to talk to you more about that. Bada bing, bada boom. You got the conversation going. That's all done through that relationship build and before it ever even gets to the point of the money transacting, right? And then even after they show interest into investing into your business, what happens next? Then you got to come to evaluation. Then you got to go through due diligence. Then you got to demonstrate some type of level of success to de-risk the process since they got their eyes on you. And then eventually you'll go to the investment and eventually you'll move on from there, right? But it's a process that they have to go through, and it's part of you solidifying and building this partnership and this investment partnership to de-risk it for them. And you need to do that if you're asking for money, because you need to show them that you respect their money, you respect their time, and that you want them to feel confident and comfortable that you are in fact who you say you are. And you have to prove that to them. You have to prove that to them through value action forward or value forward actions. And you have to do that over time. It's the same thing in digital marketing. We have to do that over time. So as you guys look out into the world, as you look at your current lead gen process, if you're good at getting attention, but you're not converting the leads, it's probably because you need to take a deeper dive into understanding where we can nurture more. And to do that means that we need to put ourselves in the shoes of the people that we're trying to talk to. And we need to think about, if I was them going through this process, meaning I've grown my business X, Y, or Z, whatever it is, and now I want them to be interested in this thing. We have to figure out a way to bring them value over and over and over and over and over again and keep them engaged, right? The best conversations in the world, the best partnerships that you can do if you're doing like pure BD partnership, is one in which that partner, like if let's say that you and I met at a networking event and we were like, hey, you know what? Maybe we got some synergies. We should partner. If I were to hit you up right the next day, that's step one. Hit you up either that night or the next day. Hey, so-and-so, great meeting you. Looking forward to, continuing conversation. It was a great conversation, whatever, right? Great. That's pretty standard. Then if I hit you up in a week from then, hey, how are things going? Did you accomplish your weekly tasks? What are you working on this week? What are you working on next? Then, hey, I found somebody that's interested in you a week later, or that might be a good fit. They're in my network. No big deal. I'm going to connect you. Let me know if anything comes from it. A week later, hey, how did that conversation go? Did it work? Oh, if it didn't, great. Maybe I can try somebody else. Or could you tell me about who else would be a better fit for you? I'll try and do that. A week later goes by. Hey, how did that one go? How are things going? Where are you at with your strategy? Are you continuing to build? Are you continuing to grow, nurture this thing? Where are your pain points? A week goes by after that. Hey, have you tried this? Just thought about you. I was doing something on my own. Thought about you. Have you ever tried doing something like this before? Cool. No worries. Have a great day. Talk to you a week later. So on and so forth. Until it gets to the point that they're like, wow, this person really cares about me. Right? Like, that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to get our prospects to believe, and through actual care, that they go, wow, these people actually care. That's how you nurture. Nurture is about caring and about building that relationship. And we can do that on the digital front. I just use those examples to keep it simple. But think about that as you guys are looking at your campaigns, and if you're finding bottlenecks and trying to figure out why. Instead of thinking about what other cool tactic you can do to try and rope them in, flip the script and think about what else can you give them that will help them at that point in the bottleneck. And I can guarantee you they will move forward in your campaign and move forward with you and engaging you. If you do that alone and you keep that as the focus, you will be able to figure out how to tie that back to ROI for you, and you will be able to grow your business. That is the critical point of the nurture campaign. So take a look at your bottlenecks, look at all the things that you have in place that are pointed at you and how great you are, because nobody gives a shit, and start thinking about the audience and them and where you can give back more, and you will see a change in your numbers and you will see conversions starting to come through. I hope this helps, guys. If you didn't catch it, last episode just released this past Tuesday. I took a deep dive. I took a little bit of a risk on my own. I talked about the TikTok ban and why I decided to actually create a TikTok account right after that ban was issued. I kind of go into more details on that, so definitely give it a listen. This is Just Be Humans. We're really focused in on bringing these human virtues back into the marketing world, into the sales world. That's really the core mission of this, right? Is to connect those dots again. because I think we're missing it. And from everybody that I've talked to, the bulk of the world also seems to agree with me that we are missing it. So that's the gist of this podcast, right? Bringing the human virtues, bringing human relationships back into the digital front and understanding how this is going to work. So with that being said, new episodes come out every Tuesday at 11 a.m., Thursday at 11 a.m. We will be bringing on some more guests. I know we had Eric Gregory on a few episodes back from the government contracting world. Amazing episode, a little bit longer, definitely worth a listen if you're in government contracting. I think it was fantastic. I've got a lot of positive feedback on that. And yeah, if you're interested in being a guest, you can head over to www.justbehumans.com. And you'll see as you scroll down on the page, there's a place where you can apply to be a guest. We'll respond back to you with some questionnaires and so on and so forth, schedule you up. Gladly bring you on as a guest. So I appreciate that. And yeah, that's this week's episode. Again, the only ask I will ever make of anybody here, I'm never going to sell my products on here. I'm never going to promote myself outside of, just sharing actual experiences. So the only ask that I make is if you found this podcast to be insightful, interesting, educational, whatever the case is, if you found value from this podcast, please, please, please just leave us a review or share this episode with a friend. That means the world to us. We are truly trying to help out the world with this space and help spread this message. So without the help of you guys that are actually listening to the podcast, if you guys can help spread the message for us, that's a huge thank you. And glad to, reward you guys in any way that I can with my time. For those of you that do it. So please, that's my only ask. And yeah, outside of that, this is all about nurture campaigns this episode. And as you continue to tackle the rest of this week, just remember one thing, guys, just be humans.